Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making these delicious cupcake conchas. Before we get started with the recipe, we're going to go over the ingredients really quick. For the 12 cupcakes we're going to be making, we're going to need 3 cups of sifted flour. If you don't own a flour sifter, you can run the flour through a strainer like this. We are also going to use 3 medium-sized eggs or 2 large eggs, 1/4 cup of sugar, the zest from 1 large orange, which equals to about a tablespoon, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground anise, half a cup of warm milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 5 tablespoons of room temperature butter. We're going to start out by adding all the dry ingredients into our bowl, including the instant yeast. If you're using regular yeast, start by activating the yeast in half a cup of warm water, a tablespoon of sugar, and a couple tablespoons of flour. I'm going to use my mixer to prepare the dough. You can also prepare it by hand by mixing the dry ingredients first. Once your dry ingredients are well combined, make a small crater in the middle and add the wet ingredients. Slowly mix in the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients until everything comes together. It may take you a little bit longer if you're kneading by hand, but that is another way of preparing your dough. Once our dry ingredients are well combined, we're going to take it over to the mixer. To mix the dough, I'm going to use the paddle attachment. We're going to begin to add the wet ingredients, starting with the half cup of warm milk. Make sure your milk is at warm temperature. You don't want it to be too hot, otherwise it will kill the yeast. Add in your vanilla and the orange zest. Mix on low to medium speed. As it's mixing, add your eggs one at a time. Oops, I almost forgot to add the butter. I placed it in the microwave for a few seconds just so it can soften up a little bit, but we're going to add it right now. I should have added the butter at the beginning with the milk and the other ingredients, but I am a little bit forgetful sometimes, so we're going to head and add it right now. It shouldn't affect the outcome of our dough, so we're going to continue mixing for a good 5 to 7 more minutes, or until our dough comes together. You'll know your dough is ready when it's no longer sticking to the side of the bowl and it has a nice stretchy feel to it. It's going to feel a little bit sticky, but not too sticky to where it sticks to your hands. Our dough has been mixing for about 8 minutes. Now we're going to remove it from the mixer, and as you can see, it's a little bit sticky, but it's also nice and stretchy. To remove it from the bowl and lightly knead it into a nice smooth ball of dough. Before placing the dough in the resting bowl, add a small amount of vegetable oil. Rub it around the inside of the bowl and on the dough as well. The oil is going to help the dough from drying up, and it's also going to keep it from sticking to the side of the bowl as it rises. Cover with plastic or a clean kitchen towel and place it in a warm, dry place for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, or until it doubles in size. Meanwhile, we're going to prepare the paste topping for the cupcake conchas. Combine equal amounts of all-purpose flour and confectioner sugar. I'm using 1.5 cups of each, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of vegetable shortening. Mix for a good 5 minutes or until everything comes together. It should have a nice firm feel to it. If it's too sticky, you can add a little bit more flour, or if it's not coming together, you can add a little bit more shortening. All flours and shortenings are different, so if you feel that it does need a little bit more flour or shortening, feel free to add more until it comes together and it has a nice firm feel to it. With the amount of ingredients I used, I did not have to add any additional flour or shortening. Once it's ready, it should no longer stick to your hand and it should have a nice firm feel to it. Knead it into a nice cylinder shape, and depending on how many different colored toppings you want to make, separate it into equal pieces. Separate the pieces and make a small indentation on the top of each piece. If you want to make the chocolate topping, add 1 tablespoon of cocoa to one of the pieces and food coloring of your choice to the rest of them. We're not going to make a chocolate topping, so we're only going to use food coloring. Take one of the pieces and mix it until the food coloring is well combined with the paste. You can continue to add food coloring until it reaches the shade that you prefer. If the paste is sticking to your working surface, you can sprinkle it with a little bit of flour to keep it from sticking. Once it reaches the color that you prefer, wrap it in plastic wrap and repeat the process with the remainder of the pieces. Place them in the refrigerator until they're ready to be used. After 2 hours, our dough has now doubled in size. Now we're going to remove it from the bowl and transfer it to a lightly floured working surface. Press down on the dough to remove the air and knead it into a cylinder shape. Cut your dough into smaller pieces and separate your dough into 12 equal-sized balls of dough. Line a muffin pan with muffin liners and transfer each one of the pieces into each one. Take out your paste toppings from the refrigerator and pick the color that you want to work on first. I'm going to start with the pink one and we're going to set the other ones aside. Lightly flour your working surface and roll it into a cylinder shape. Separate it into 4 equal pieces. Take one of the pieces and roll it into a nice smooth ball of paste. Once it's nice and smooth, shape your piece into a 2 to 3 inch round. You can also use a tortilla press to shape your piece, or you can also place it between 2 pieces of plastic and press down using an object with a flat bottom. Place it over the dough and gently press down on it until it's nicely attached on the dough. If it's not sticking to the dough, you can add a little bit of vegetable oil before attaching the paste. Using a small knife or a butter knife, gently press down on the paste topping to create your design. Once you're done cutting out your design, place it back in the muffin pan and repeat the process with the remainder of the pieces. To create more than one colored topping, simply take the pieces that you want to combine, roll them into a nice smooth ball of dough, attach the 2 pieces and press down on them until they stick together. Shape your piece into a 2 to 3 inch round and place it on your dough. Cut out your design and place it back in the muffin pan. Cover them with plastic or a clean kitchen towel and place them in a warm, dry place for 30 to 40 minutes. It's been a little bit over 30 minutes, and as you can see, the Concha cupcakes have now doubled in size. Now we're going to transfer them to the oven and bake them at 350 degrees for 15 to 17 minutes. Once you remove them from the oven, allow them to cool down so the paste can set in. Otherwise, the paste is going to crumble off if you remove them right away. And now for my favorite part, the taste test. I'm going to start out by removing the liner, and as you can see, covering the entire top of the dough gives you that delicious sugar topping on almost the entire cupcake except for the bottom. Using a knife, I'm going to cut it open so you can see what it looks like on the inside. This one is still a little bit warm, which is why I'm using a knife. We don't want that delicious sugar topping to crumble off. And now for the taste test. The sugar coating is really crunchy, but the inside is super soft. All I need is a cup of hot chocolate to dip it in. But these are absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in our next video with a different recipe.